the only factors, but if those are some of the factors that you're considering, you're in the right place today. So with that, I'm going to just talk briefly about one of our programs, and I'm going to spin it off to Frank Junker to pick up on the second, and then we'll both talk about the third program. I'm going to first talk about computer science. Computer science is a AS degree, which means it's designed for transfer to a four-year college. In fact, this computer science degree, we are working with other SUNY institutions. We do what's called the SUNY transfer path, which means that if you take our program, the courses will transfer to other SUNY campuses so that you don't have to repeat them at the four-year level. Sometimes people want to go to a college outside of SUNY, and that's fine. We have what are called transfer agreements or articulation agreements, and we have those with most of the area, local area colleges as well, the four-year institutions. So the computer science degree, if you ask me like what's the, what is the major component of that? There's a couple of major components. One of those is the software development path. So you take computer science 1, computer science 2, and something called data structures. And another pretty heavy component in this program is the math requirement. So the math requirement is extremely important to computer science because when you transfer to a four-year college, math is going to be important at that level as well. There are some other courses that you take as part of computer science, but because it is designed as a transfer program, there are about 30 hours of liberal arts and 20 hours of computer science related courses. And then there's some others to make up about 60 credits in total. So again, that program is designed for transfer to a four-year institution. So if you're somebody that's out there thinking, I would like to go to school for 4 years so I could become a software developer and have those opportunities and make some very good money while doing it and have an enjoyable career, computer science is definitely a pathway for you to consider. So with that, I'm going to ask Frank to pick up the discussion and move it forward.
Okay, thanks. I want to begin by talking about the CIS program, the Computer Information Systems program, which is, as Marty explained, is an AAS degree. So it's meant to be a 2-year terminal career track degree rather than going on to a 4-year. Although I should clarify that a lot of people who start in the CIS program do end up going on for a 4-year degree. A lot of times they're not certain about their future, whether they really want to make a 4-year commitment and so on. So they start with the 2-year degree and then there are plenty of transfer opportunities. It's just better to transfer if you have the CS program, the computer science program. You might miss a course or two if you go with CIS, but let me go back to the reasons why you would want to use a CIS degree. I bring in a lot of people in one of my courses that I'll talk about during this is the professional development seminar. I bring in a recruiter, I bring in a human resource manager and have them talk to the classes. And one of the things that's become more obvious to me every year I have them in, that the resume is going to get you the interview and your interview skills are going to get you the job. And you need to get in the door. And one of the human resource guys that comes in every year to speak to my class talks about, he says, I'm the gatekeeper. If you don't have, you can't get an interview if you don't get by me. And so your resume is going to end up being that. And so what we have in our CIS program is a wide variety of courses. It's not as heavy in math, as an example. You won't be taking calculus and things like that. But it is, we're going to take, as an example, a hardware course. We'll do programming courses. We'll do web development courses, things like that. There's a couple of electives that give you an opportunity to choose other things. You'll learn about the Linux operating system. So there's a wide variety. You're exposed to a lot of different things, which gives you an opportunity to go into a lot of different areas. Help desk is a pretty common place that you might work. As a programmer, as a web developer. A business analyst is a new kind of a program or a new job that's been out there the last few years. There are a lot of new degrees in that are popping up. really doing sort of data searching and massaging data and all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of different jobs in CIS. And one of the things that we did in this program is a capstone course. I referenced it, the professional development seminar. And it's really great because you can take that course or you can do an internship. So we do have people that do the internship rather than that course. But when they take that course, they get a job shadow where they go out and shadow somebody in industry for a couple of hours one day and come back and do a report. We do field trips. For years, we've gone to the MetLife data center and checked that out. It's a fascinating trip to do that. The last few years, we've been going up to a cybersecurity company up in Utica, in the Utica, Rome area. And that's been great. In fact, one day I got there and I found that one of our computer science majors from 2013, who went on to Oswego to get a 4-year degree, he was working at that site as a subcontractor. So it's great to, I didn't know he was there. I went up, just made the connection and brought my students up, and he walked into the room. Hi, Mr. Junker. It was really kind of fun to see, just talking about different places that we have jobs. We have most of the people that work in Montgomery County data processing are FM grads. Most of the people that work in Castle Keller, Keymark are FM grads. Not everyone, of course, but we have lots of local businesses that we're connected with. So you might end up doing a job shadow at a place like that. And sometimes, job shadows aren't meant to do this, but there have been numerous times that job shadows have led to job interviews or actual job offers. I had one student doing a technology company in Latham. He went on a job shadow, and that was all that happened in March or April, whenever it was. And by August, that company had an ad in the paper, and he applied. And of course, he had to go through the human resource manager for the job shadow. So the guy recognized his name from having been there a few months earlier, and he got hired. And so a lot of experiences like that with the CIS program. And I referenced the fact that we've been going up to this cybersecurity company in Utica now 3 years in a row and getting a tour of their facility and learning about the opportunities there. They're always looking for internships, summer internships. Mostly in that particular company, they said they'd be willing to take an FM grad for an internship, but they are mostly looking for 4-year degrees in that particular program is an AS. It's a 4-year degree. So there's a chance you could get an internship there. Certainly, when you go up and visit and meet people, they're always much more willing to do that. But that's why that's an AS degree. And Marty, did you want to finish talking about that program? It's our newest program, the cybersecurity.
Sure. Yeah, this program, in fact, our first set of graduates is just coming through that program. So it is our newest program. It's gone through its 2nd year now. So when that program was constructed, the core components of that program consists of 4 courses. And those are basically courses that are outlined by CompTIA's curriculum. CompTIA is a national organization that provides education in the form of training, but also what their big thing is they do certifications. So they provide certification exams. So some of you may have heard of something called A+ certification, which is a hardware certification that's nationally recognized. And then something that follows that called Network Plus, again, a national certification. And then that's followed by Security Plus, and then a 4th course called Cybersecurity Administration. So those 4 courses make up the core of our newest program, and the title of that program, Computer Networking and Cybersecurity. Job opportunities, off the chart growth for job opportunities. And I'm going to tell you, I've got, again, Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are the top 20 fastest growing occupations in the United States, and it's number 6 on the list. It's growing at an annual rate of 32%, which is really, it's unbelievable. Just to give you an idea, most of the growth rates, what would be considered average, is less than 10%. So if that's average, this is growing at 32%. So there are more positions than there are people to fill them, which is a great position for students to be in because that drives wages up. And certainly something that I think people should consider. Again, opportunities, growth rate, and salary potential, all represented well with that program.
Marty, if I could just interject a question here. Some people on the chat might be wondering, am I capable of doing a technology program like computer science or computer networking, cybersecurity? Can you give us a sense as to, if you're in high school, what are your strengths academically to be successful in this program? What are the supports that we have on campus to help students be successful in your program? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, and then Frank, chime in at any point. So one thing that we do, when you enroll in any of our programs, we do start off with introductory level courses. And by that, let me just give you an example of the first semester of a computer science major. And I'm only going to focus on the computer related courses, not the liberal art courses. But they would take a course called Spreadsheets and Database for Professionals. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that. But basically, that's about a half a semester of Excel. And we jump in pretty deep. But Chapter 1, for example, we start off with the basics of Excel. So we assume that maybe you've had maybe a little experience with Excel, but we don't. We build from the foundation up. So you don't come. It's not like you have to come to any of the programs with a lot of experience, or certainly we hope you have some experience with that. You're comfortable with the keyboard. You're comfortable with using maybe a web browser, and that you have some interest in using a computer. But as far as skill set, we start you off at the beginning and we build you up each semester. The courses do, as you would naturally expect, build upon each other. And in most cases, they get more difficult as you progress through. But we do start you off at an introductory level.
Mm-hmm. The other question for both of you really is that, many students are very uncertain about really what specific career path they want to go. They may start in maybe computer networking, maybe get into some of the courses and kind of decide that maybe that isn't the right fit for them. You've got 3 different programs. Can you talk a little bit about if someone were to start the first semester and maybe they just didn't pick the right fit for them? How easy is it to transition from maybe one program to the other?
Yeah, I think as a general rule, it's pretty easy. It's not perfectly seamless, but most of the first semester courses are going to be required in each of the majors, and there are a couple of electives in each of the majors, so that if you ended up transitioning from one to the other, it's really, generally speaking, not that big a deal. The sooner you know, obviously, the better, because there are some courses that might be taught only once a year. But for the most part, most of our courses are taught every semester. There's a few that aren't, but you can usually make that up and work that out. The sooner you know, the better, obviously.
We have a course too that regardless of what major you're in, people start off with a course that's computer science 1. Well, actually, for the 2 of the 3 majors, and in that course, we start right off with an early lecture about the differences in the differences between the programs, so that students are well aware. And we talk about it throughout the semester, so that Frank already hit on this. The quicker you make up your mind, the better it is for you as a student, right? It's going to take you less time to get through the program and also save you money as a result. So that's really paramount. Now, as Frank said, jumping between the programs is definitely doable. There is one area we got to be a little concerned with, and that is if you jump from what I would call a software-related program, such as computer science or CIS, and you wanted to then jump into computer networking, because of something that Frank already mentioned. The hardware, those 4 courses that make up the networking and cybersecurity have to be taken sequentially. So we have to be careful with that. And that's why we try to communicate very often and very early about the differences in these programs to help students make up their mind, as soon as possible.
Marty used to be an advisor, and but despite that, with a small department of the 2 of us, when a student comes into class, if I look at them and I think you're in my website class, why aren't you in my database class? We'll catch them day one. We'll make sure that if their schedules for some reason are not in sync with it, and sometimes we think, oh, I'm going to take that next semester, and I say, hey, it's not going to be offered next semester. You got to get in that class this semester. That's the beauty of having that relationship with your professors. We can make sure that if for some reason they're off sync, we get them back on sync and stuff.
And related to what Frank just said, we know all of our students. We know them all by name, and that happens very quickly. Our class sizes are relatively small. For courses that we teach, very often it's somewhere between 12 to 20 students. And the more advanced those courses get, the tend to get smaller class sizes. So we know all of our students by name. They know us. We know what they like to do in school. We get a sense of what they'd like to do out of school. They get that same sense from us. We also have office hours where we get a chance to talk to students one-on-one if they choose to come and take advantage of office hours. So we build relationships early on at FMCC, and as Frank has already mentioned, in many cases the relationships go well past FMCC. He maintains, I'll let him speak about this, but he has a database of graduates, and he maintains contact with those graduates often, and they end up coming back to maybe do a presentation in our courses that I know he's done several times, but also sometimes they actually even come back and help us develop curriculum. So, we develop those relationships, and they're maintained for not only while they're at FMCC, but well past.
Well, and in addition, a lot of them have come back and said, I just got a new job, and I need to find a replacement for me, or I'm heading up a department now, and I need somebody. We regularly hear about job opportunities from our graduates, which is really great. I have some of them come in and speak to my professional development class, which is really awesome. Sometimes they're 2 or 3 years out of FM, and they come back and explain to the current students what it was like, because they can remember sitting in that seat 2 or 3 years ago, and they know how hard it was or how easy it was to get that job and what they had to do. So it's always great to hear a former student come back and tell his or her tale of good news, bad news, and anything in between to our current students, so that they have a real honest sense of what it's going to take to get that resume together, get that job, get those additional skills or whatever it is they need, to be successful.
Can you talk a little bit about where your students have transferred to, for those guests that are interested in maybe going to FM, getting the 2-year degree, and then transferring on for their bachelor's or maybe even beyond? Can you share with us maybe some popular schools that your students have transitioned to?
Some of the most recent students that I've communicated with regarding transfer, SUNY Polytech, which used to be called SUNY Utica Rome. So we have actually excellent relationship with them. We have transfer agreements, even though they're a SUNY and there's a pathway. Above and beyond that, we have articulation agreements where even our CIS students, which again, to remind you, that's a program that's not designed for transfer. With that being said, they take all 60 plus credits, because it's usually a little bit more than 60 credits. So they transfer our students in as juniors up there, and they have various degrees of where they may end up once they're at SUNY Polytech. State University of New York at Albany is another place where we've had students recently. And I'm proud to say my alma mater, Siena. We've got a couple students that have gone to Siena recently and have done really, really well there as well.
I guess the other point you brought up, transfer, in talking with your students, and certainly the value of coming to a community college before transferring on. One point being, reduction of potential student loan debt, preparation, and being prepared for that next step. What are your thoughts about that as far as what you've heard from students? Were they prepared when they went on to the next school? Were they happy with that path of transferring from FM to another school to reduce their overall debt? Do you have any insight about that pathway?
Well, I think every story is unique on that. Some people can afford to go away to, dorm living and all that kind of stuff. Some can't. That's why a lot of our students go from FM to maybe something local like Siena, St. Rose, University of Albany, and so on. But certainly, I think the relationship that we have with our students is really paramount. The fact that they see us not only in classes, they see us between classes. They essentially know where we live, whether it's our office or the classroom, and they'll stop in. So that's a relationship that you typically don't get at a four-year school. I remember going to SUNY Albany myself and having 500 students in a lecture center and, told, look to your left, look to your right, and one of you won't be here by the end of the semester, and another one of you won't get the grade you want. Well, we don't say that at FM. We're here to help, and they build a relationship with us. That just, we have peer tutors and things like that you can either use, or after you've passed the course, you can become a peer tutor, things like that, which there's no better way of learning more material than to be a peer tutor. But there are plenty of people that will come to us rather than to the peer tutors, because they see us sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, depending on the semesters. So, they have no problem stopping us between class and having a chat, especially if we don't have to leave to go to another classroom. They'll take up those 5 minutes and ask us questions or whatnot.
When we have a student who transfers to a college and then they reach back and communicate with us, send us an email, sometimes a phone call, the first thing I ask them, how well prepared were you for the class? And, I'm very happy to say we have a student right now at UAlbany, and he has nothing but praise to say about his foundation before he arrived at State University of New York at Albany. He's thrilled. He's doing great, and he gives a lot of credit back to FMCC and the attention we gave him. Nice.
Well, I'll call for any other final questions if anybody wanted to put any other questions in the chat. And seeing none, I'm going to thank everyone for participating in this chat. Marty, Frank, thank you very much. All the participants who joined us for this, I really appreciate that. And if you're interested in maybe learning more about FM, we would love to hear from you. We would like to set up a phone conversation with you, or we have the opportunity on our website to do a Zoom chat with you, so we could be face-to-face and actually talk to you via Zoom meeting. We would love to learn about what your career goals are, and we'd like to explain to you how FM can help you meet those goals. So we offer a free application for admission on our website, so there's no cost to apply. Of course, no cost whatsoever to explore FM. We would love to get to know you and see if it's the right fit for you. So again, please feel free to visit fmcc.edu for additional information. And with that, I would like to thank everyone again for participating. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.